firstly, Sam, could I just ask what it's been like, all the preparations for this, how you found it all?
You mean like the training or being in the hotel?
Being in the hotel and the whole sort of
Um,
process of being tested, etc.
yeah, it's been hard, mate. We've had to sit in the room. You know, obviously the first day we had the test, so we had to sit in the room and quarantine until the test comes back. You know, which has been weird. Especially the week of the fight, you do stuff. You're picking bits of weight off and so on and so forth. But it's been hard, but it's doable. It's doable.
And what are you like? Are you good? Are you a patient person, or do you find it difficult being just stuck in a room?
Oh nah, I love my own. I love my own. Being on my own and my own company. I'm all about that. So I've come out of a house with 3 kids. So just to be able to sit in the hotel room and chill out is perfect for me.
Just more generally, then, how's your training been going for this fight?
Yeah, it's gone well. Like I say, I trained through quarantine lockdown. I've got the garage. I've got the bag. Then we do my running, sprints, so on and so forth. And as soon as quarantine, eased off a bit. Straight back in the gym. We had a lot sparring lined up. It's all gone well. It's all gone well.
And have you had a chance really to look at what it's going to look like on the fight night for you in terms of fighting in a pretty different venue from those you're used to?
Nah, I've just been following, Eddie Hearn's socials more than anything. Matchroom socials. I've been seeing them, build it up. The ring walk, changing rooms, the ring. I've just been watching all the socials and seeing how it's going. Really, yeah, but it looks great.
Talking to some of the other fighters who've been in these first behind closed doors events, they said that all the build-up might feel a bit odd, the ring walk, etc. But once you're in the ring, you almost forget about everything outside.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people say it, but you get that tunnel vision. Everyone talks about. The ring walk will be a bit eerie. There'll be strobe lights and I suppose a bit of smoke. Your music will be on, but no one will be there. It'll just be you. So it will be a bit odd, but I think as soon as you get in the ring, like I say, tunnel vision, you're fighting. So yeah.
And how confident are you about this fight?
I'm confident, pal. Yeah, it's, they sent me a list of opponents that I could have picked out. I would pick Ted. So I'm confident. I'm ready to go. Camp's gone great. So. Yeah, everything's gone well, so I'm confident.
You've seen all the highs and lows of boxing during your career. Has that made you a more rounded fighter that you can, cope with everything that's thrown at you?
I think so. I mean, ups and downs are ups and downs. I mean, not everyone's gonna, get in the ring, and be a Mayweather. Like I just said, you don't get in the ring and not get hit for 12 rounds and win every fight. It's not going to happen for everyone. And it definitely happened for me. So, it all turns out for a good book at the end, don't it, I suppose.
One last one from me then. Do you still have big ambitions, or is it now more about being the provider for your family? You talked about the fact you've got 3 kids.
No, look, it's always been about providing for the family. All the titles and, all the big nights. That's just been a snowball of what the first plan was. It was always the plan to provide. That was it. So that never stops. But yeah, I've got big plans. I want to at least. I'd love to win a world title, but I definitely want to box for a world title before this is over. So yeah.
Thanks very much, Sam.
Appreciate it.
Hi Sam, Charlie Parsons here, UK boxing correspondent for FightHype.com. First thing I wanted to touch on to Cheeseman with arguably, not arguably, the worst year of his career in 2019.
Yeah.
We see a lot of people talking about him maybe not having the confidence.
Yeah.
Going into these fights, obviously with the 2 losses and the draw. Do you think that's maybe something you'll be able to capitalise upon?
I don't think so, pal. I mean, I've been that person. I've come off the losses. I've had people tell me, you're probably not confident enough, so on and so forth. And then I've gone out and done a good job. So I take nothing off that. The losses, confidence, you know, it means nothing to me. You know, you're trying for the best Ted, and the best Ted, I presume, will turn up, and you know, I'll do a job on the best Ted. So
Yeah, of course. He did say that you sort of stuck your chin out at 147 and that you could take punches more then. He says if you keep your chin out at 154 that you won't be able to take the punches that he gives out. How do you feel about that?
I don't see where he got that from. I mean, he's not a huge puncher in any way. I don't see where he got it all from. You know, it's a bit of, I just probably hyping himself up. If he thinks he's gonna come and clean me out, then you know he's sadly mistaken. But you know, whatever he thinks makes him feel better.
Yeah, of course. Both of you have been in wars in the past. Maybe Ted probably has more of a thing for that, which he's kind of tried to dumb down a bit. If you see his fight with Fitzgerald, obviously he tried to work on the boxing a little bit more. What Ted Cheeseman are you expecting when you get in the ring Saturday? Are you expecting that come forward aggressor, or are you expecting someone to try and be a bit more slim?
The exact same Ted that fought Fitzgerald.
Okay.
There's no chance he's gonna come and try and overpower me or stop me. It's just, you know, that's not clever. You know, that'll be meat and drink for me all day long. So he's gonna try and box and move and pick as many rounds up as he can. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting.
Brilliant, thank you, Sam. Can I just get a final sort of prediction for Saturday night?
I think it'll go late, but I think I'll get him out before the 12th bell.
Brilliant, top man, thank you.
Hi Sam, this is Danny from SecondsOut. How you doing?
Good mate, yeah, I'm good.
Good, glad to hear it. Bit of an obvious question, but you mentioned that you picked Ted Cheeseman from a list of potential opponents.
Yeah.
Who else was on the list?
There was a few there. There was a few at 154. There was, if I'm right, I think there was a couple at 147. You know, the likes of Ted. There was Ted. I think Fowler was on there. Conway was on there. And at 147, there was a few other names. Ben was on there at 147. So there was a few names. There was a few, but you know, we picked Ted.
What made you pick Ted from that list? Because it seems like you're the man who gets to choose. Everyone wants a piece.
I think what it was, I mean, there was all good kids on there. You know, they're all quality. Fowler's obviously quality. Conway's obviously, you know, building way up and he's a good kid. But none of them had won the British title. You know, to get a defence against someone who had been a British champion more than anything. I think that's why we picked Ted. It meant the most. You know what I mean? I understand the others might be, you know, Conway's unbeaten. No, he's not unbeaten, but he ain't won nothing that's gonna, you know, of note. Do you know what I mean? Fowler ain't won the British yet. Ted has, and that's why we picked him. And at 147, it just needed to be a bigger opportunity. You know, to make 147 again, I really need a big opportunity. You know, I'm not going to make that for, you know, a small fight.
A lot of people are characterising this fight as someone who can adapt in Cheeseman, presumably because they've watched his last fight against Fitzgerald, and someone who fights more or less in the same way a lot in yourself. Is that unfair, do you think? Is there a chance on Saturday night we'll see you up on your toes using your range?
You have to wait and see. I mean, it's all fair to say, you know, Ted's can adapt and box, but he did adapt and box and he lost that fight. So,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? He boxed for 4 or 5 rounds and it all went tipped up. So, it's fair to say he can box, but how long can he box for? We don't know. You know, we'll see. We'll see on the night.
Brilliant. Best of luck and appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
I think Michelle, if you want to jump in.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm okay. Thank you. You're all right, yeah?
Yeah, thanks. I just really was curious, like, in terms of preparation for this fight, like, in what ways was it? I mean, obviously it was very different with COVID and whatnot, but can you tell me a bit about maybe some of the challenges that you faced?
Like I say, in quarantine, you know, I think every boxer's got the bag hanging up in the back garden. Every boxer can run. So in quarantine, I've done the bag work, I've done the sprints, I've done the running. my strength and conditioner send me over, small things to do, circuits to do, and so on. But as soon as quarantine was eased up a bit, and we were allowed in the gym, I had a lot of things set up really, ready to go. So yeah, everything's gone well, if I'm honest.
You've mentioned that this is your last shot, but you're only 26 years old.
Yeah.
Are you really considering retirement if you don't win?
I wouldn't say. I suppose it's hard to say. I understand I'm 26, but I know 2 of the losses were prize fighter, so it depends on how you want to score it. But there's 6 losses there. It doesn't look great, So you have to wait and see how it works out. But I'm fully confident of getting a win the weekend. So it's not something that I'm debating at the moment.
Ted had said that if the lockdown didn't happen, that he didn't think that the fight between the 2 of you would be happening. Do you also agree with that?
I agree with that. I mean, not being, like I say, I always say, people like Ted Cheeseman, Fowler, Conway, Fitzgerald, these are fighting out for the British title. I went over to Italy and I got a good ranking. So in September. So I think if it weren't for lockdown and COVID, I'd be pushing the international route and trying to pick up, make my way up the IBF rankings in a sense. So I don't think this fight would have happened. But beggars can't be choosers. COVID's happened, and everyone needs to work.
Right. And lastly, I'm just curious to know what your thoughts are. It's a bit off topic, but Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. What do you think of that exhibition fight?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard not to be excited, but you have to. I mean, I think Roy Jones Jr. is in a bit of a better place. I've saw a few interviews on Tyson, and when he's talking about his old self, he's crying and he's shaking, and so I don't think it can be good for Tyson. I mean, if he turns back into the guy he was, then it's only going to go one way, and that's downhill. But you have to see how he takes to it. But you can only be excited to watch Tyson fight again, I suppose.
Who do you think wins that?
It's hard to say after Tyson's been out for a while. I know he looks in great shape in the pads, but a lot of people look great on the pads. But Tyson's Tyson, and it's so. I think Tyson wins. I think he puts him out, especially after Roy Jones Jr.'s last fight. We saw Enzo Maccarinelli put Roy Jones out. So I think Tyson catches him. It's the last thing you lose is your power. So I think if he catches him, I think it's nice.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I wish you all the best.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.